everyone, this is Andrew here at Tower, and today we are going to be building a Nakto electric bike. This particular model is the Camel model, their city-style cruiser bike, and the F denotes that it's a step-through female-style frame. Nakto is a sort of direct-to-consumer brand. They don't really have their own website, but they're only sort of carried online. You can find them on ebikes.com. This particular model is one of their very inexpensive ones. It comes in at $699. So we have it unwrapped here. If you want to check out the unboxing, be sure to check out our Nakto electric bike unboxing video. But we have it here sort of unwrapped. So we'll do sort of some first impressions before we jump down into it. So first of all, kind of jumping off, there's next to no branding on this bicycle. Really the only branding we see is right at the very top of the battery. You can see where it says Nakto electric bikes, and it says that on just the one side of the battery. So I'm sure there's some branding here on this down tube, but that is one thing about this bike. It does not read Nakto much at all. This bike, it looks like it is a 6-speed. We can see at the rear freewheel here, we've got 6 cogs. Looks like we have a Shimano rear derailleur. It looks like a unlisted one, so not turny or anything, just a basic Shimano derailleur. And then if we look here on the rear, on the left side of that rear hub, interestingly enough, they give us a drum brake on this rear wheel, which is an interesting choice. You don't see drum brakes too much anymore. Most of the time we'll see disc brakes on electric bikes, but they opted to go with the drum brake on the rear, which is an interesting choice. And if we come up here to the front of the bike with the fork, we can see here that you do have some suspension here, but this particular fork isn't going to give you too much cushion. It's not going to compress too much. And these stanchions are pretty skinny. So, I myself am a little wary about this fork here. But, let's get to it and let's get building this guy, see what it looks like all built up. So if we look on the table, these are the tools that they included here at the toolkit, which is very nice of them, gives us everything we need. I'm gonna use my own park tools here, but these will come with the bike, so that is handy for you. So first off, I'm going to unclip this handlebar, so we can get that installed first off. This bike uses a quill stem here, so we'll just slide this guy in. And so I want to be sure to get this minimum insertion. You can see on those lines, so we'll get it just slotted in there. Looks like that very top bolt is a 6mm. This stem bolt here is a 6mm. I'm just going to get it lightly tightened down. I'm not going to fully torque it down or anything yet, because we still have to align it once we get that front wheel on there. But that's what these front handlebars would look like installed. Now we have all of the foam off the bicycle. We can now see the body of this Nakto electric bike, and we finally do have some Nakto branding on here, so people be able to tell riding down the street what it would look like on this down tube. It looks like we got a headlight hanging down here. That's probably going to mount onto this fork arch here. But let's get this front wheel installed. So again, off that build video, the only thing protecting that front wheel is this little cap, so we'll take that off. Now this tire is a directional tire. As you can see on this tread pattern, it does go in a certain direction. So if you look, we actually have this arrow right here that shows the way it's supposed to rotate. So the wheel is going to slot onto the fork just like this. So to get these on, the front comes with, it looks like, some rim brakes. So we're gonna have to open those up in order to get that front wheel on. So to do that, just give them a little pinch, and you'll see this brake noodle has this little part that slots in here. That's what keeps it, keeps all the tension, holds it in place. Just get that slotted out, pull that up, then it opens up just like that. Then we're gonna take this front wheel, we're gonna slot that axle right into the dropouts. And then if we look, we have these little eyelets here that have a little hook on them. Those hooks are supposed to go in that top hole, and you have one on the right and the left side of the fork. So before you start tightening those nuts down, be sure that those are in their proper slots. And they do have a tendency to fall out, so I found it's good to sort of get them snug down a little bit before you get that wheel in its final position. So they're good on both sides. Take my handy dandy 15mm that they included with the bike. I'm gonna get those tightened down. All right, and with that front wheel now tightened down and bolted on, we're going to get this front rim brake reinstalled. Just slot that back in, and it looks like, so yeah, that front brake's definitely gonna need some tuning here. It's pretty loose right out of the box, so something to be aware of is this front brake is definitely gonna need some adjustments right out of the box. So definitely something to consider when looking at this bike. You also look out here, something I just noticed is, looks like all the, a lot of the cables are routed internally here, and it looks like we have this gasket that's supposed to fit right into this hole, but as you can see are two completely different shapes, so that's not really gonna slot in there super well. I'll try to get it tucked in as best I can, but yeah, it doesn't look like they're exactly a match-made fit. There we go. Looks like I got it stuffed in as best as I could. It looks like once it's in the hole, it fits in there okay, but again, not the best fit there. Let's get these pedals installed. So these came with the bike, you know, just nice, basic nylon lightweight pedals. Of course, be sure to get the right and the left pedals correct. Head to the left crank arm, and remember, just pedal backwards to get those threaded on. And as we can see here, I'm assuming this section on the left side of that bottom bracket, this is more than likely our pedal assist sensor, but I'm sure, I don't know if you could see it. So it was actually slid out quite a bit fresh out of the box. When I was moving this around, tightening this on, see it moving around quite a bit. So you may have to snug that down, push it into that bottom bracket before it's snug tight. And we're gonna swing to the right side, the drive side of the bike, get that right pedal on there. Then we're gonna take that same 15mm wrench that they provided with us just to snug these guys down. Now the pedals have been installed on those bottom crank arms. So we also have this front fender that we get to install. And do you wanna know what else is extra fun? Is this also mounts to this really stubborn screwdriver bolt that we can't get off. So after quite a bit of tools and quite a bit of effort, this front screw will not come out of this fork, so that is a major negative on this bike so far, because obviously that screw is what's going to hold on this front light and this front fender. So not being able to unscrew that screw is a big, big issue. We've had to, you know, bust out some sockets, some heavy-duty screwdrivers. It's just this part will just not come undone from there. So we're just gonna move on from that, but keep that in mind that this screw may be really tightened on there and it may not allow you to mount the rest of your accessories. We are now going to install this front basket here. So if you look at the stem on the front of the bike, comes stock with this bracket here. That is actually going to be where we're going to mount this basket. Now, one of the things, you know, they are not super clear on this. They don't give you instructions for any of this bike, how to do it. So it looks like with the parts bag, they gave us this little baggie of, it looks like some brackets and some screws. That is how I'm guessing we're gonna get mounting this basket onto the front here. These two plate sets, got some screws, got some nuts. So, how this is going to work is two of these screws are going to work with two of these nuts, and they're going to clamp this basket through these holes onto here, and then the other one's going to clamp this support underneath, and then this plate will then clamp onto these, holding that in place. So let's get mounting here. I'm gonna get this bottom piece mounted on first, because obviously it's underneath. We wanna get that one taken care of ASAP. As you can see, these screws came undone much, much easier than the one on that fork bridge. So this screw has been extra stiff too. Luckily the screw does have a hex head, so I could get this on top and get some extra torque on there. So again, something about these screws on this Nakto electric bike that, you know, they are very stiff on there, that you can take a lot of effort to get out. So definitely something to consider when thinking about this bike. All right, now with both of those screws out, you can now take this handy dandy U, that would be our underneath support, And then we're gonna get that on the outside of these brackets, not the inside, the outside, because these screws will then thread into these brackets here. So we wanna make sure that the support is right in between and gets clamped down. One side. We don't want to get this too tight as well, because we obviously want to be able to move that up and down a little bit to account for the basket. All right, so now we're going to take these two bracket plates here. You see, one will go right in the top there. This other one with the curve will go underneath. This curved piece is going to go underneath that bracket just like this. So, and as you can see, what we're going to notice here in a second is you can see these cables are all over the place, and they got to be routed all around this basket. So that is definitely a tough design choice. Is you got to work around a lot of cables, so it's definitely not potentially the most sleekly designed. All right, so we want to line up those holes. You can see down there. So you can see once we got those holes lined up, we can take these screws, and I'm just going to get them lightly started here before I torque everything down. All right, so we got those threaded on there, started. Now it is, it's loose on there, but it is now attached. So now we're going to mount this this plate here, and these two little bolts and nuts, and we will get this fully attached. So you're going to take this plate, going to put it right across there's like those holes like that, thread through that metal bracket that's attached to the stem here, and then right behind it you're going to start to thread this nut on right there. And you're going to do the same thing on this other side. All right, now all those screws are the basket's now attached. Now we just have to tighten everything down. So I'm going to start with these lower ones here. Torque those down a little bit more. I'm still going to allow a little bit of movement. Well, I still have to adjust the top ones. I definitely want to get this bottom tightened down a little bit more. So that is another thing to be aware of on this particular bike is, they don't give you all of the wrench sizes that you need. Like to mount this basket, we need some real small wrench. Like this is a 9mm, even it's a little bit too large. So it looks like I'm probably gonna have to get an 8, maybe even a 7 to get that clamped. So yeah, it looks like it is an 8mm nut that you're gonna have to get clamped on here. So you're gonna need a 10mm and an 8mm that they do not include with your tool set. So something to be aware of when, and thinking about getting a Nakto electric bicycle. So there you go, the front basket is now installed. Now, just tightening these down, these do not feel like the most sturdy screws, bolts. They're felt very close to stripping just about any moment, so definitely take ease when you're mounting this. Then of course we can take the cover for it, just snap that right over the top. Snap it, leave it, don't worry about it. From there, we're gonna tighten up this front handlebar stem. Don't want it rotating around on us. Want to make sure it's nice and tight and secure. Remember, we want to get that lined up with the front wheel. Probably something you should do before mounting the basket, because obviously the basket makes it a little tough to see that front wheel. Make sure you're all lined up. Remember, this is a 6mm on the stem up here. And of course, you want to hit all of these other bolts. Want to make sure everything's tight and safe for us. Now, one of the other things, I talked about it a little bit in the previous unboxing video, but if we actually look here with if you look at the stem, you can see this little compression. It's sort of a cover or gasket. Now, they put that on there to give the illusion that this seat post is a suspension seat post and will give you a little bit of cushion. It does not. It is a solid seat post. They just kind of put this cover on there for looks, so it doesn't really do anything. They give you if we look behind and underneath the seat, we can see this little blue lever. If we flick that, we can see the whole seat sort of rotates up. That's how we're gonna get this battery on and off. Rear rack comes pre-installed on the bike. It's a pretty nice feature about it. Does look like you have an integrated rear tail light that will power up via the front display. And again, short of the front here that we just couldn't get this screw undone to mount the front fender and the light, your Nakto electric bike is pretty much ready to roll. Join us next time when we show you how to tune this bike and see how it rides for us. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.